Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, they call it the Zoom effect. We're all looking at ourselves on Zoom and we're becoming self-aware. Well, that has led to a boom in plastic surgery. We'll talk to one of the leading plastic surgeons in North Texas just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I've always been fascinated with plastic surgery, and over the years, it's become more and more trendy. I remember doing stories in the news business when it was, you got plastic surgery, but you never told anybody. And I would say today, it's almost a badge of honor to talk about that. Dr. Bruce Hermann, he is with North Texas Breast and Plastic Surgery Center. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward
to
it.
Now, you must get Doogie Howser comparisons. He's got the youngest face, does he not? Have you gotten that before?
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I've been practicing now in private practice for 12 years, and I've had my MD for 20 years. So you can imagine 20 years ago how bad I got it. Every once in a while, in fact, today, I just got it today. I walked out of a room, and the patient asked the nurse, "How old is that young doctor?" And I was like,
well, sometimes, I've seen people in your profession who it looks like they should probably have a little work done. And so I say you're a walking billboard for your practice.
Well, to be perfectly honest, for the longest time I did nothing. And then just recently in the last year, we got a new laser, which is really, really nice. So I have started using laser treatments, which have helped a little bit. So I'm not all natural like I used to be. I will admit that.
Well, you have flawless skin, and I love that. We're going to show one patient's journey, and I should warn the viewer that this was shot a decade ago, but you'll see that the doc hasn't changed a bit. Let's go ahead and roll that tape.
I found a small lump on my left breast after I had my third boy. So I went in, had it checked out, didn't think anything big about it. After sonogram, mammogram, biopsies, it came up cancerous. So I found an oncologist, and they did chemo and then set me up with a surgeon for a double mastectomy. The surgeon introduced me to Dr. Hermann. I went to see him, and we started working out our issues on what we were going to do.
When a patient has to have a mastectomy for breast cancer, oftentimes the surgeons that are doing the mastectomies will work together with a plastic surgeon to go straight from the mastectomy into a reconstruction in the same operation. So we oftentimes see the patient before they've ever been operated on, which is great. I think breast reconstruction works best when it's a team approach.
After the mastectomy, he came in and put spacers in and filled them with saline to kind of stretch the skin before they put the implants in. And when I came out, I had boobs. I came out, with more than what I had expected. I thought it would be flat. When you hear mastectomy and reconstruction, you don't feel like you'll come out with anything, but I did. And I knew right then, I was on the right track.
Rachel is a great example of breast reconstruction. She is a young woman who unfortunately received a diagnosis of breast cancer at what I consider a very young age. We found a reconstruction method that fit her particular diagnosis and treatment plan the best. We did her operation for reconstruction the same day she had a mastectomy. Her reconstruction went very well, and now she has her breast back.
Today I am feeling wonderful. I think I'm pushing myself more, that I'm able to do anything I want to do. I feel beautiful and happy and thankful that he was my doctor. I feel like a new woman, a new Rachel.
Well, one of the things I love about you is that you're so passionate about it. It's not just
Absolutely.
it's not just a medical procedure. For you, it's an art form, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's what I always tell people is, I consider myself a doctor, of course, but I do consider myself an artist. When I'm working on a patient, whether that be for something like reconstruction with her, something more cosmetic, to me, I want to make the best creation that I can, and I just love that. I love the thought process of what I'm going to do to get the goal that I want, and I love the execution of it.
Give some advice to people on how they go about shopping for a plastic surgeon.
Sure. Well, I think it is very, very important to do your research because there are some less than perfect plastic surgery experiences out there, as you have seen probably in the media. So the most important thing is to find a plastic surgeon that is board certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery. That's step number one. Once you find a surgeon that is board certified, I think it's great to look at their reviews. That's become so critical, at least in my practice. People always ask me about my reviews because they've been very good, and they say, yeah, I saw your reviews, I really liked what I saw, and so that's one of the reasons I picked you.
Wow.
So doing the research is important.
I want to show some before and afters, and let's just
Okay,
leave
sure.
them on the screen, and I want you to describe what we're looking at. So
Yeah,
what is
absolutely.
this procedure?
So this procedure is called a brachioplasty. The more kind of layman term for that would be an arm lift. So as you probably know, weight loss surgeries have been very popular in the last 10, 20 years. And this is one of the after effects of people having those massive weight losses is they end up with extra skin that they don't really want. And so we've come up with surgeries for almost every area, and this area is specific to the arms, where women will get this large hang of skin underneath the arms when they hold their arms out. And so there's a technique to take up that skin and basically restore a more normal shape to the arm, which is a huge confidence boost for these people. Many of these women tell me they're too embarrassed to wear something that's not a long sleeve shirt when they have all that skin. And so this operation is very safe, it's a pretty easy recovery, and you can basically make a huge change in their lives.
Wow. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, what are we looking at?
Oh, this is just a standard bit of liposuction. So, as we get older, it gets harder and harder to keep that fat off. I've even found that myself as I started to age. It's getting harder to keep that fit look. And so, very common for women and men as well to come in and have areas that, despite their best efforts, they can't get that area of fat to go back to the way when they were a little bit more youthful. So liposuction is a very safe procedure to do in the proper hands. Basically, we inject the fat tissue with a fluid to prevent bleeding and to give anesthetic, and then we suck the extra fat out. And the reason I really like liposuction is because it truly is art. It's almost like sculpting tissue. And so the outcome really is dependent on the skill of the operator. And of course, that plays right into why I like plastic surgery.
One of the things I've read so much about it is medical tourism. What are the dangers of that?
So, fortunately, my practice is very broad. And one of the things I still do is take emergency call for hospitals. And I would say about once a month, I get a call for a patient that has become the victim of medical tourism. So what that means is where a patient will pay a discounted rate to go out of the country to have a plastic surgery procedure. The biggest problem I have with that is just the lack of regulation in other countries, wherever that might be. It is still pretty regulated in the United States who can and cannot do plastic surgery. In my opinion, I wish it was a little bit more regulated, but at least it's a good baseline. In other countries, it's a bit of the wild, wild west. And sure, some people do have good experiences, but there certainly is a very large number of people who have very bad outcomes. And I've seen people who have been just disfigured.
Really?
That are so bad that even I would struggle to get them back to normal.
Is the goal of plastic surgery so that people really can't tell you had work done? They know you look younger and fresher, but they can't really put their finger on it?
That's my ultimate
Yeah.
goal. That is a question that is subjective because some women may come into me, say for something very common like a breast augmentation. They say, I want just really large breasts where it's just very obvious. And that's their choice. For me, I do think that the best plastic surgery is plastic surgery that no one knows you've had. I mean, that is a true artistic skill.
Do you ever talk people out of it? I mean,
wow.
famously we saw Michael Jackson over the years. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I personally do all the time, and I must admit that early on in my career, when I was a little bit more hungry for business, I was maybe a little less eager to turn people away. And as I've become much busier over the years, I'm very prone to tell people that I don't feel like that their plan is something I want to be a part of.
Sure.
And that goes not just that is dangerous, just that it might be a bad idea. For example, a very small lady getting very large breast implants. I can see how that they might like the appeal of that, but there are certainly downsides to doing something like that. And so I sometimes just don't want to have that risk for the patient or for myself.
Sure.
So
Now,
yes, absolutely.
Dr. Bruce has a personality. I was on your social media, and you made one
my
video
gosh.
in particular. Let's go ahead and
I'm
roll that
afraid
now.
to see which one it is.
Go ahead.
So how tough is a silicone breast implant? Let's find out. How tough is a silicone breast implant? Pretty tough.
Okay, you were even surprised.
I was surprised. I put that thing through some pretty good torture tests, and it held together. I have broken them before. I have a whole series of me doing very evil things to breast implants, and I have broken a couple of them, but I have one, you'll have to check. I have one where I shot one out of a real Civil War cannon.
No kidding.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Did it hold up?
It did not.
Okay, there are limits.
It came apart inside the barrel. It was pretty funny.
You bet. Well, we're almost out of time. So final thoughts. What would you like to leave the viewer with?
Well, I would say that if you're interested in learning more about plastic surgery, I do a lot on social media. I love educating the public about plastic surgery topics. So you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dallas_NipTuck. My website is breastandplasticsurgery.com. So if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. I do live streams very, very commonly, and actually I'm going to be starting a video podcast show starting next month. I'm very excited about that with Jasmine Sadri, who is a actress and radio personality. So very excited about that coming up.
Awesome. We can't wait. So let's end with the website one more time. It's breastandplasticsurgery.com. Thank you, Dr. Bruce.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.